Just play my opening.
I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy.
Hello, I'm Anime Al. Al is my name and anime is my game. I don't know how many of you watched my Dara review, but in that review I claimed that light novels were the main source of anime adaptations. And while I still believe that to be true, visual novels have got to be a really close second. Now, for those of you who don't know, a visual novel is a mostly text-based video game with some pictures. Some even give you multiple choices so that you can decide the ending. Now, there has been some debate as to whether this increase is good or bad, but what I think is really interesting is that there is no middle ground. Either they're really good, like Steins Gate, or really, really bad, like School Days. And just guess which category this one falls into. How bad is it? Well, after I finished the series, I looked up online to see if anyone liked the series. I couldn't find anyone. Now, to put that in perspective, I've been able to find defenders of Sumo Momomo, Venus vs. Virus, and even freaking MD Geist. But apparently, this is where we draw the line.
Jesus.
To say that this scares me is an understatement. This terrifies me. But it was made by Brainbase, my second favorite anime studio. There's no way it can be this bad, right? Right? Wrong! Before I begin, I will be spoiling several major plot points throughout this review. I will be showing and talking about clips from episode 1 to 12. The reason I am doing the review this way is because I feel this is the best method to show the series' many, many flaws. So you have been warned. But is anyone watching this seriously worried about spoilers? Let's start with the plot. In the simplest of terms, this series is about a young woman, we never learn what her name is, who is either in her last year of high school or is in college. We never learn what her age is either. That wakes up on the morning of August 1st with no memories. A spirit named Orion tells her that she has amnesia. I think he's a member of the Duh Council. She lives her life as normally as she can while being surrounded by young men. That's pretty much it. I hope you appreciate this. Alright, I think I should start with the opening and ending themes. They're actually surprisingly enjoyable. Just take a listen. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed those, because they're easily the best thing of this entire series. Now, let's talk about art and animation. The animation of the series is decent at the best of times. There really isn't much to say about it. It gets the job done, but only just. There are an awful lot of scenes where characters hardly move at all, and when they do move, it's not exactly graceful, let's put it that way. But it could have been a heck of a lot worse. As for the art design, somebody screwed up here big time. What do I mean by this? Well, when I show you the outfits later, and I gotta save it for later, the character's design clashes with the background. I'll get into that more later, but right now I will say that the worst part of the design is the eyes. For some reason, someone thought it would be a good idea to have the character's eyes really color heavy at the bottom, which gives them of appearance of almost like a robot, which would explain some of the dialogue. But again, I'll get into that later. And now to get into the so-called Amnesia girl. How do I explain this girl's personality? This girl is the most weak-willed, bland, utterly useless, completely, utterly stupid, moronic protagonist I have ever seen in my life. I'm not kidding. This woman has no personality whatsoever. To call her a wallflower is an understatement. She has the personality of fungus or moss. No, I don't want to offend fungus or moss. This girl's worse than that. I'm not kidding. Everything she says or does feels like it's trying to piss you off. This girl is worse than Sumiri from Venus vs. Virus. She is worse than Bella from Twilight. And yes, she is even worse than Momoko from Sumo Momomo! She's that bad! She is that irredeemable! She is that utterly, completely worthless. I can't even put into words how awful this woman is. I mean, just look at this.
How romantic.
This may be the most unintentionally sexist character I have ever seen. And I've seen quite a few. This is how I dread women being portrayed in media. Sumiri may have been annoying and aggravating, but at least she had a personality. Momoko's only purpose was to do Koichi, but at least she had some teeny, itty, weedy little bit of thought. And I think we all know about Bella at this point. But this girl? No. And I don't care what excuses you make. She has amnesia. She doesn't remember anything, so she won't have a personality. That is no excuse. Wolverine's got amnesia, and he's got a well-established personality, over 30 years old. Oh, but they had to have her have no personality because that's the way she is in the game. Screw that! That was a video game or a visual novel. This is a show. I need something to connect to. Some reason to be sympathetic to this character. Instead, I want her to die over and over again. And this girl's reverse harem isn't exactly much better either. They only have a tiny little bit more personality than her. Their outfits. Oh, are you ready for this? They look like Colin Baker's entourage. Hey boys, Cirque du Soleil called. They want their costumes back. Double dog collars, laced up thigh-high mismatched boots, tattered rag around the waist, and coats that have at least 24 belts on them. Honestly, this wouldn't be so ridiculous if they gave a good reason as to why they dress like this, but instead, we just have these strange people dressing up as idiots for no rhyme or reason whatsoever. This is their everyday clothes. Yeah. If you saw someone down the street dressed like this, you think either Halloween came early or cosplaying has gotten really out of hand. I mean, can you imagine anyone in their day-to-day life dressed up like these clowns? I don't think so. That's just what really bothers me. The rest of the series looks pretty natural. When you have characters that dress like this, and backgrounds that look like this, it makes them stick out like penguins in the desert. Oh, man. Oh. But we haven't even gotten to the real source of the problems the series has. The story. Alright, I am going to try to sum up 12 episodes in a few minutes. Wish me luck. So, as I stated before, the Amnesia girl wakes up on August 1st with no memories of anything prior to that day. Apparently, her memories were knocked out when this little spirit named Orion came in and possessed her body. The reason as to why is pretty stupid, trust me. And here, she says the smartest thing in the entire series.
You want to make a stop by the hospital before you go home?
You should go and get checked out.
Yeah, sure.
Which is ironic, because the very next thing she says after may be the dumbest thing she says in the series. And that is saying something.
Yeah, sure.
Don't do it! Things always get complicated when you go to the hospital. Just tell them that you want to go home instead.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go to the hospital then.
I mean, no.
What? What do you mean?
Well, I think I just need to get some more sleep.
Look, I'm not a doctor. I don't even pretend to be one. But it seems to me that when you have amnesia, you should get checked out. You should have a doctor examine you. And if a little voice in your head tells you not to, you ignore it! Oh, and here's another tip. If there's this little fairy person that no one else can see or hear except you, then here's a possibility. You just might possibly be just a little bit mentally disturbed. Although mentally disturbed would still be a personality trait. Oh, and for the record, I freaking hate that fairy. He is absolutely annoying. And I mean, God, just listen to this.
You cannot let yourself become isolated. You might even forget all the basic stuff like how to eat or even breathe for yourself. You'll collapse and then...
Your reasoning is hardly logical.
I can't believe I just heard the words that I just heard. I just heard them a few seconds ago. You know, when Squid Girl forgot that she could breathe underwater, that was meant as a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. I expect you, however, to take this seriously. I expect you to take every single stupid, brain-dead word in this show seriously. I don't claim to have the best memory myself, but I am proud to say that I have never woken up one morning and gone, so the amnesia girl listens to the little annoying fairy, and instead of going to the hospital, which she should be doing, by the way, she instead tries to live out her day-to-day life and hope something just comes to her. Yeah, I can't see what's gonna go wrong with that plan.